Welcome to the Alison Howard podcast, where high achieving women elevate their identity, expand what's possible, and create a life of true abundance. I'm Alison Howard. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast, to the YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about how to be. I get asked this question all the time. Well, how do I be? This is really the missing piece in creating your reality. So, today we're going to be talking about something that is foundational. It's extremely transformative, and it's also very misunderstood, especially in conversations around success and manifestation, mindset, personal growth, business growth, all of those things. And what we're talking about is how to be. So, not how to hustle harder, not how to achieve more, not how to force results, white knuckling things, but how to become the woman from whom the results naturally flow. Because most women live in a backwards model of reality creation. So we are taught first you do the work, then you have the result. And finally, you're going to get to be confident or secure, peaceful, successful, loved, admired, whatever it is. But that is not how creation actually works. And interestingly, it's not how the Bible describes creation either. So I want to talk a little bit about the order of creation. When you read the book of Genesis, you see something extraordinary. And I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but I have been studying this and I love this. So, creation did not begin with effort. Creation began with identity and declaration. For example, let there be light. There is no struggle described in that statement. There's no striving, there's no frantic energy. What there is, though, is clarity, there is certainty, there is creative authority. Something internal preceded something external. And whether someone interprets Genesis literally or spiritually or symbolically, the pattern remains. It's profoundly instructive. So creation flows from being, from knowing who you are, from identity, from alignment. It's not from chasing anything. And this is where the concept of be, do, have becomes so powerful because you don't do your way into being. You be your way into doing. Let me say that again. If you're taking notes, if you're like me, I'm a big note taker. You do not do your way into being. You be your way into doing. And I want to talk about why most women live, do, have, be. So they have it backwards because most women are operating from I'll be confident when, or I'll feel secure after, or I'll relax once this happens. So life becomes a constant state of pursuit. That's why women feel so burnt out. And I personally experienced this pattern for years. I lived it. I believed that the next achievement would create the inner state that I was craving. So the next milestone in my life or business, the next income level, the next external validation. But what I discovered along the way is that sometimes this happens, really gently, and sometimes this happens actually painfully, is that external success without internal embodiment feels unstable. So you achieve, this may sound familiar for you because this is literally from my personal experience. You achieve something, but you don't feel good about it. You don't feel anchored. Or you receive something that you thought was going to be amazing and awesome, but you actually don't feel safe with it. Or you grow, but you always feel like you're constantly bracing for loss because your being didn't change, only your circumstances did. And the thing is, you can take radical action and change circumstances, but that's not sustainable. You can only do that for so long. You're going to end up hitting a ceiling, a burnout point where just mechanical action will only take you so far. So I'll share a little bit of a personal story here when this actually shifted for me. There was a season in my life where I was constantly asking, what do I need to do to get there, wherever that was? So what do I need to do? I need more strategy. I need more planning. I need more effort. And yet I felt exhausted all the time. I felt very disconnected from the life that I was trying to build. And what shifted everything was a radically different question. I asked myself, who do I need to be for this reality to feel natural? So, not performative, not forced, but natural. So, for example, when I began embodying a woman who trusted herself, my decisions started to change. I was no longer making decisions from fear or from scarcity or from lack or from comparison. When I began to embody a woman who valued her energy, my pace changed. I stopped overgiving. I stopped pouring from the empty cup. When I embodied a woman who felt safe receiving, my relationship with effort changed. I didn't feel like I had to exhaust myself in order to get results. I knew the results would come if I became the woman who could hold it. So nothing external changed overnight, but internally, everything started to shift, to reorganize. And once that happened, life began responding differently. So let's talk about what being actually means. Let's make this really practical for you because being is not pretending. It's not acting as if in a performative way. Being is actually how you think on a daily basis, hour by hour, minute by minute. Being is how you interpret reality. Being is how you make decisions. Being is also what you tolerate and what you do not tolerate. It's your boundaries, it's your standards. And being is what feels normal to you. So your identity is what is always creating your life. Your nervous system organizes around who you believe that you are. So when you ask yourself, okay, how do I be my next level? What you're really asking is, how do I align my internal world with the reality that I desire? So let's talk about how to start shifting your being. So here's where the women that I coach, it never fails, they overcomplicate this. I think we all do this. I think it's very simple, but we're somehow programmed to overcomplicate things. So being shifts through small, repetitive choices. They're called micro moments. Okay. And we all have micro moments every single day. So choosing calm instead of urgency. I find I'm most challenged in this space, in this area of choosing calm over urgency when I'm making dinner. Because I'm like trying to get dinner on the table. The kids have activities, there are things going on. I've been, working and doing my stuff throughout the day. And something that I do now while I'm cooking, while I'm chopping that carrot, dicing those onions, making that sauce, cooking that chicken, whatever it is I'm doing, is I get really present in the situation and I choose calm. I choose gratitude in that moment. I'm so happy and grateful that I have the schedule and the flexibility and the resources to provide this nourishing meal for my family. I'm so happy and grateful that I have this time to put this together. I'm so happy and grateful that I have this food in front of me, whatever it is. I'm connecting with the action in the present. I'm not thinking about all the other things that I have to get done. So, this is why it's challenging. I am focusing on the task at hand in gratitude. I'm choosing calm instead of urgency. Another micro moment looks like maybe choosing self trust instead of over seeking validation. We are on social media a lot throughout the day, just as people. We are looking left and right. If you are in business like I am, one of the pitfalls of business can be, posting that reel and seeking the validation in the form of likes and comments and shares and things like that. And if you don't see that, you start to lose trust in yourself. Oh, maybe it wasn't good. Maybe what I shared isn't valuable. Maybe I'm on the wrong path. And so what we do is we recoil and we stop doing the business building activities that are good and healthy to do if you're in business. And we don't trust ourselves. But what if you flipped that? And what if you just followed your intuition? What if you followed your inspiration? What if you decided to choose to trust yourself instead of seeking outside validation? Another micro moment might be choosing standards, your own personal standards, instead of people pleasing. For example, if you have a standard that on Mondays, the first 4 hours of a Monday, you are going to plan your week, you are going to block your time so that you know exactly what your week is going to look like as far as you can control it, but somebody needs you during that time. What if you say, no, my standard is I'm doing this the first 4 hours of a Monday and I can help you outside of this window because your time is not more important than mine. Women are often, this is not always, but often chronic people pleasers. Another micro moment that I see a lot is what if you choose alignment instead of fear driven reaction? Here's a great way to know if you are making a reactive decision out of fear versus out of alignment. Okay. So when you have a decision before you, you immediately feel the fear bubble up like, oh, I don't think I can invest in that person, or I can't invest in that coaching program, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm not sure if I have the time, or I'm right. You have that moment where you are in fear. You really want to do it, but you're in fear. What you can do instead is you can ask yourself, what would the most elevated version of myself do in this situation right now? What would she choose? And you will know immediately, I'm going to invest in that coach. I am going to take that class. I am going to book that trip. I am going to hire that trainer, right? So you're no longer in a fear driven reaction. Instead, you are choosing something that is deeply aligned with your most elevated self. And this is the thing, every choice is identity rehearsal. You're always practicing who you are. And a lot of times, what you're rehearsing are moments and decisions and situations from the past. It's just on a loop. And so getting mindful here breaks that loop. So instead of asking, what do I need to do to become her? Ask yourself, what would the woman, just like I just said, what would the woman who I'm becoming choose in this situation? What would she do? And that question will change everything, guaranteed. Okay, so I want to explain why be, do, have is the real formula for success here. Because when your being shifts, doing just becomes easier. Effort becomes really clean. It's not messy. Effort becomes very focused, and action becomes aligned instead of frantic. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do all the things. So many of my coaching clients, my one-on-one clients, and even those who are in my community, they operate out of this frantic energy of, I'm not sure what to do, so I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to be on every social media platform. I am just going to spread myself as thin as possible because if I'm not everywhere, then I'm nowhere. And we have to reverse that thinking. Having has to become the natural byproduct of who you're being. Because life is no longer resisting who you are. It is responding to who you have become. So if this conversation is resonating with you, if you can feel that you've been trying to do your way into a reality that actually requires a shift in who you're being, I want to invite you to something really special. I want you to join me for my live 3-day Zoom event where we're going to go really deep into this content and into coaching. And that is happening on April 8th, 9th, and 10th. This experience is personalized. It's really designed to help you shift your identity, to start stabilizing your beliefs, to understand what those even are, to embody your next level, and to align when it comes to this idea of who am I being? Who I'm being informs what I'm doing, and what I'm doing informs the results that I see, what I have. So you're going to find the registration link in the show notes, and I would love to support you there. But I want to leave you with this. The book of Genesis in the Bible shows us that creation begins internally, and your life is no different. You are a creative being made in the image of the Creator. You are a co-creator with God in your life. You're not a victim to your circumstances. I promise you, you actually have authority when it comes to how you create in your life. You don't become confident after you experience success. You become confident and then success follows. You don't become peaceful after things settle down in your life. You become peaceful and your life reorganizes around that peace. So I want you to ask yourself today, who do I need to be for the life I desire to feel natural? Who do I need to be for the life that I desire to feel natural? And then begin there. Now, I want you to go and be the woman that your future is waiting on. See y'all next time. Be blessed.